Mike McCool here with the Royal Examiner. Today I'm at Samuel's Public Library. This is July 1st, and this is like a grand opening. So what we hear is I have the library ladies, as we talk to every month, but let's turn the camera over here, Mark. We have Erin Rooney's with us. She's our librarian. What do we call your official title? I want to say like Executive Director of Samuel's Public Library.
Either Executive Director or Library Director.
Library Director.
Yeah.
And we have Melody Hotek. She is President of the Trustees, right? Is that correct?
That's correct.
And we have Eileen Grady.
Director of Operations.
She does everything else. That's
She does
probably
it all.
that's a good way to do it. Now, so ladies, this is the first day without funding from the county.
Yep.
It's our first
It
day.
is.
First, it's like,
Yeah.
I just got goosebumps saying that. I'm sorry.
I know. It's definitely a new chapter. It's an unusual chapter in Samuel's history.
Yes.
We do hope to be back with the county, and we want to, find a way to sit down and negotiate.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we're still here and providing services and proud to do it. But that's completely owed to our supporters and to all the people in the county and town.
Right.
That's what today's about, thanking them for all their support, and come have coffee and donut.
Well, when you have Apple House donuts, how big of a thank you?
Can't say no to that. Can't say no to that. They're almost gone. So
Yeah, it's really something. Like you said, that's the first thing to go. I see you had
first thing to go.
I see they had to go to Duncan to kind
Yeah,
of
we
have the
had to
backup.
back
We
up
did.
line.
So many people. That's a testament to so many people walking through the door this morning.
Yeah,
Overwhelmed.
it's a good sign. It
Yeah.
makes you feel
Good
like
thing.
we're
Oh.
doing the right thing, doesn't
Oh
it?
my gosh, it feels so good to
Yeah.
see so many people come through the door.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So, is there a way for the county to save face in this all, or what do you think the next step is? What's your position on the next step? I mean, obviously you want one.
we want to sit down and negotiate and be able to continue to provide services.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not so concerned about saving face. I just think we all need to sit down at the table and do what's right for the citizens of Warren County.
Well, I think that our 30 supporters have spoken, right?
That's right.
Right.
All 30
I
of
say
them.
that sarcastically, because we know that there's thousands of supporters,
Yeah.
and then there's a lot of neutrals. But you know how many thousands
Yeah.
come through the library every month,
Oh my
right? We know
gosh.
that, and so they have spoken that they want their
Yeah.
Samuel's Public Library to continue.
Yeah. I think they have room to understand that maybe their premises were wrong, their numbers were wrong, and to take a second look at it and realize that we're here and we're going to keep going
And we're doing a great job.
we're doing a great
Yeah,
job, and it's
yeah.
the right thing to do. So let's all sit down.
Right.
Let's do it.
And get this over with so that the Board of Supervisors can move on to the real issues.
Right.
that
We
they
got some
have.
important issues that
You do. And
way more than the
Yeah.
library.
Well, there never was a problem.
Of time's
Right.
been, a lot of time and money's been wasted on
Yeah.
this, and
Yeah.
it's time to move on. And we hope that they'll see that and come to the table, and we'll get an MOA together or whatever they want, and we'll move forward.
Yeah.
Because this is just not good for the community.
No.
There's real issues that need to be addressed.
Right.
We've never been a problem. So let's just move on.
Right. Well, and I don't know if people really realize that. I know on the board, they've had seats to set on the board forever, right?
Oh, always. It's
Yeah,
part of
it's in
our
our
bylaws.
Yeah, and I noticed we've been to several meetings, and once in a while I did see Cheryl Culler. She came pretty regularly, and Vicki Cook. I know she came a couple times. So I never could see what the issue was. Like, if we don't know what's going on, if you're sitting on the board,
Right.
meaning you have access to all the board material,
Right.
and why? I just it seemed like
Yeah.
I was flabbergasted, thinking.
So
well,
we're
Yeah.
way.
yeah. So I just wasn't me then. huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
No, Cheryl comes all the time to as many board meetings that she can fit in her schedule.
Right.
She's a busy lady. Vicki came for 2 years before
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Before that, Dolores Oates. Before her, Archie Fox.
Right.
So there has always been a supervisor, Warren County supervisor.
Yeah, and even before that,
involved.
the town even had someone
Yeah,
on it.
and for a while, so there's always been a supervisor involved in knowing exactly what's going on in the library at all
Yeah,
times.
Yeah, which I think is important, and I'm sure, I don't think other organizations that get county money
Do that.
do that and put someone on their
Yeah,
board,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I just think that's
It's-
unheard of.
It's part of what we do and how we try to be accountable and transparent
Yeah.
to the citizens and the supervisors. So we want that input and we want to know what's happening with the county. How can we help on that end?
Right.
Our big goal is trying to find partnerships. Erin's been out there talking to Heritage Society and all coalition, Warren Coalition, and all kinds of different groups. How can we help the community, and what kind of services do we have that are a good fit
Right.
for other organizations in the
Yeah,
community?
because I always say, we have so many organizations, and we don't need duplication of effort.
No.
Right.
We just need partnerships to work
Correct.
on what
Exactly.
people can do better, and that's
Yeah.
how a lot of your programs work.
Yes.
You're not putting them on.
No.
You're having your partners
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
come and share.
Yeah.
We're going to give you the space, and we're going to give you the
Exactly.
eyeballs, right? And but
That's
come
right.
on in and
Yeah.
tell us what you're doing in our community.
Yeah.
And we had Rachel and Pat on the other day with
Mm-hmm. I
our
saw that.
annual library lady.
Yeah.
We did talk about you, Erin, and we did talk about bad romance, right? But it's,
Yeah.
you can see that calendar for July is as full as any other month has ever been, and
Mm-hmm.
programs are going on, and I think it reflects the partnerships that you have, because
Mm-hmm.
there are just dozens of people that are coming, working with you
Yeah.
to present these programs. So that just shows you that there's
Right.
and it's not just that, but people come to them.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And I say you've changed, you've modified, you adjust.
Sure.
Based on what the needs are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Eileen, you're the money lady. So let's talk a little bit about
Money
the money. The money. I mean, are we going to survive?
We will be fine. We wish we didn't have to dip into our resources, but we've been lucky enough to have had an amazing anonymous donation of $500,000.
Right.
And since we created the Donor Emergency Fund with that money, that's grown to over $600,000. So that, coupled with state aid, will get us through the first 6 months.
It'll be a rough road, but you'll make it.
We're watching our pennies, and we're going to defer some things because we want to keep functioning for as long as we have to. We hope that we could resolve this so that money could be used to continue to improve the facility.
Yeah. I've heard comments about, well, they've got an endowment fund there. Why don't they just spend that? I don't think people understand how endowments work. I mean, normally you take the interest off your money, and
That's what we do.
that gives you a long-term
Yes.
money. If you spend the money, it's like seeds.
Yeah.
We call it seed money, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
farmer goes out, I don't have any money. They got $100,000 sitting in the bank, but they're broke because that's my seed money.
Right.
And if I don't have that money come spring, I can't buy seed. And I think that's the same way
It's
endowment.
absolutely
Yeah.
the same way.
Yeah.
And we do take a draw. We have an investment policy on our website that allows us to take a 3% draw every year off of
Right.
the endowment fund.
And the endowment will still grow at that.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we do that because we've been funding a lot of the shortfall because we were flat funded for so
Right,
long.
right.
But it would be nice to take this money that's sitting in the Donor Emergency Fund and be able to do some improvements here that need to be done, and then put the rest of it into the endowment to continue to grow it.
Right.
Because the more we grow that, the bigger the draw can be, and the less we have to ask for down
Right,
the road,
right.
you know? So there's,
It's to the county's advantage.
yeah.
Sure.
The bigger
totally.
our endowment gets, the
Less we need from the
Right.
county.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means the less we need from our taxpayers.
right.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So
Which
it's
we-
it's another.
Which means more we can spend somewhere else.
Yeah, it's another
Exactly.
consideration of how, we can bring the most to the table.
Be a partner.
And be a partner in this public-private partnership.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you've done something that no one else has ever done. I mean, before this is uncharted territory.
It is uncharted, but we promised the patrons that we would keep going, and they supported us with their donations and letters to editor, and showing up at meetings, and they've made their voices heard.
Yeah.
So we're here today to say we're still here,
Yeah.
and we're going to keep on going.
Right.
So
Well, you have 14 more years left on your lease.
we do.
And I think that's an important thing to do. So at least you
Yeah.
know you've got an investment there.
Yeah.
And I always thought about that. I'm thinking, 16 years ago when you had this lease drawn up, and again, I think people have misconstrued the process of how all that came about. And I do know that I remember talking to Tony Carter because he was on the Board of Supervisors then, and he mentioned, about how things happened and what sounded like a good idea. Maybe if we go back in hindsight, maybe we would have done a little different. But it all worked out. Everybody was happy. They signed off on it. And obviously they wanted the library to continue.
Yeah.
Who gives you a 30-year lease?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the way they did it, from a taxpayer perspective, was actually kind of clever
Sure.
because they used whatever money they could squirrel away each year, and they never took a loan out to build this
Right.
building, which created no debt service. So that wasn't altogether a bad approach.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
long-term planning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think, which maybe something we need to go back to, we're so much caught up on the day, we're not thinking, and that's what I argue all the
Yeah.
time with the town and the county. You got to think more than just today or next year. That's
You
your
need a
staff
plan.
can do that,
Yeah.
but we can. You need to be thinking about what this community is going to be like in 10 years and 50 years.
Exactly.
If we're still
Right.
here in 100 years,
Yeah.
and we haven't built a road, we haven't done any. Our traffic is doubled, but yet our highways are the same size, right? I mean, think about.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not going to get smaller, right?
No.
Maybe, but we'll
Yeah.
see. But we really appreciate it. Do you have anything planned coming up here in the near future? I know you do. So, but
Stay tuned. We got summer reading going on all the way until the beginning of August. So there's plenty. Like you said, our calendar is filled pretty much every single week. We
I
got something
can't
going
imagine all the stuff that you have. in
Summer's
Ju-
busy.
on. Summer is busy, and then coming up in September, you're going to start seeing some SammyCon stuff coming out. So
Oh, that's
everybody
right.
get
Yeah,
ready.
That's a big thing.
Yeah.
I think SammyCon ought to go to like 2 days and things.
Well, I mean, if it's growing every year, we'll see how.
Yeah, it's just amazing. People have never been to the library, just can't really grasp. They keep thinking about an
amazing it is.
old mildewy book place, right? I mean, you do have books here. I mean,
Or books
I
and
have
more.
Yeah.
books and more, books and beyond, right?
We were serving a lady a donut this morning, and she's like, "This is the most amazing library I've ever been in." So
Yeah.
we love hearing that. We hear that very often.
Did you? I mean, Roger came down and interviewed George Samuels. Is that what his name
Oh,
was?
yeah.
Yes.
So
the family.
wasn't that kind of a neat little
It
touch?
was, it was totally Erin and
Yeah.
I met the family
Yeah.
and chatted
Yeah.
with them for a little bit.
Yeah.
They were delightful.
They
Yeah.
were
Delightful.
just tickled to find the library named after their family.
Yeah,
Their
yeah.
great grandfather.
So many great grandfathers.
Yeah, we have a lot of greats in there.
Yeah.
And I've talked to Barbara Samuels, and she would talked about the history of the name and the library, and when we see it a lot in our community, that's what
Yes.
makes a community.
Yeah.
We don't really
Exactly.
realize how the names have
Yes.
have intertwined throughout the years.
It's a community library, and we're just stewards here. So there'll be people after us, but Samuels will still be here.
Yeah.
So
So you're not going to give us a hint? No, I won't. So
we
we
do have
tuned.
a new Substack account, which
Yes,
is
I've
new
seen
for
that.
us. So if people want to find out what's going on, that's where they need sign up for Substack, and
It's free.
it's free. If they have a testimonial about the library, they can do that. And we
That's where we're going
We're
to
putting-
house our press releases and that kind
all
of thing.
all the current information we'll
Right.
put there and
And the
let
big
people
announcements.
know.
Well, up
And the
until
big
then, they just
announcements.
read it on the Royal Examiner, so I don't.
Well, both.
Come on now.
We link to press release and to articles that show up.
Well, there you go.
As part of our- yeah.
And you have our permission to republish anything on your site. That's
Thank you.
fine. You
Now
can
we
do
have
that.
that on videos.
Yes, you have it on video, and we'll do that. But I think it's just good every once in a while just to see what's people get a personal touch
Yeah.
and,
Yes.
and see what's
Yes.
who's behind the who's punching the buttons, so to
Right,
speak,
right.
Yeah.
But I noticed you have a Friends of the Life, Samuels.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big organization.
They have done an amazing
job.
Yeah.
job of growing and
They're here today supporting the
Right.
open house.
And they put their money behind it too. They
Oh, yeah.
they collect money and
Yeah.
spend it on the
my
behalf of the
gosh.
library.
absolutely.
If you start subtracting, and your volunteers, that's something I think our powers to be had a little misunderstanding of the value of volunteers, of the amount of the
We
hundreds of,
couldn't do what we do
We have
Without
without
them.
almost 100 volunteers.
yeah, and the hundreds of hours
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
spend that you don't need to pay staff person.
Exactly,
Right,
and
right.
it's real work
It
that
is.
they're
Yeah,
doing,
yeah.
yeah.
you know? So,
They're just not checking the receipt when they walk out the door, right?
absolutely
No,
not.
no. They're doing everything. Covering books, shelving books, working in the bookstore. They're doing all these.
Helping us with events.
Yes,
Yeah.
all these wonderful
Yeah,
things.
you always have plenty. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I do like some of the things you've done. That's another thing we talked about. Library of the Year.
Yes.
That kind of like fell on deaf ears.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Now, how many libraries in the state? Someone
A
said
lot.
like 700.
Yeah.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
In the 700 range, I understand.
Yeah.
And this is like selecting from your own peers, right? I mean,
Yes.
yes,
they,
Yeah.
libraries of all. It's hard to give up and say somebody's better than us, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but your peers have selected you as the Library of the Year, and that's
Yeah.
a tremendous honor. And then the trustee, Melody. I mean, want to.
I'm very honored.
It's something to cherish,
Yeah.
and that just fell on deaf ears. I don't
Yeah.
think the importance
Of
manifested itself.
it did. It did to the community.
It did.
yes, I think so.
It might not have reached a few deaf ears, but
Yeah.
the community knows.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's what's important.
Our mission is to continue to provide the best quality service and programming we can,
Yeah.
and to continue to live up to that
Yeah.
honor.
So
Hopefully you get the smiling faces that are here today at the open house and the staff, and they're working so hard out there. They're signing up people for cards and
Yeah.
helping around,
Well, so
giving
how can the
tours.
community now donate now? What's the process? They want to, and it doesn't matter the amount. Dollars.
Doesn't matter the
Everybody
amount.
doesn't have to
Anything
donate
helps.
them half
Yeah.
$500,000,
Yeah.
which we
Absolutely
love.
not.
Yes. So it will sustain us. Every donation will sustain us until we can come to the table and work with the county.
Come up with a resolution.
Come
So
up
they
with
can
a
send a
resolution.
check, they can click the support button on our website, it'll take them to PayPal. Those are really
Yeah.
the two main ways.
We've had some people today bring
I
checks.
was going to say, just come on by the library and drop it off.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
$10, $20.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
See some of the newer
Yeah.
stuff we have going on toward the studio.
Yes.
Yeah.
Take the tours.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's a thing. Just come and take a
Yeah.
look around, and
Take a
then
look
then
around.
decide. Then
Yes.
decide for yourself.
Right.
and
It-
come talk to us at some of the events we'll be at. We're going to be at Christmas in July,
Right.
and we're going to be at the
National Night Out.
National Night Out, and I can't even think what else right now, but
There's always something going on.
we try to get out
As
and
much
be
as we
part
can.
of the community.
Anytime,
too.
my youngest child had the famous thing, I'm bored. And
Come to the
I'm
library.
bored, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking, only boring people are bored. That's what that was my, response. But there's no way in this community, I know you get there's so many negative nannies going around, but there's always something to do. The
Oh,
community has
goodness,
come together,
yeah.
even way beyond the library, but
Yeah.
like Christmas in July, the National Night Out. But every week we got a farmer's market
I
at the
know.
gazebo every weekend.
is wonderful.
It's just
Yeah.
pick a weekend and
Yeah.
there's always something going on.
Right.
And then during the week you can come to the library because they got tons of stuff.
All kinds of stuff.
You've-
all
you've
the time.
just-
Every week something's going on.
So, and we love it. We love it. Now, we
Yeah.
appreciate you coming and sharing that with the Royal Examiner.
Yeah.
And anything
Yeah,
we
we
can do
do.
to help, promote the library, we're there to do it. So,
Thank you
You
so
guys
much.
have been great.
is there any
Yeah.
last messages you want to put out to the community?
I would personally like to thank everyone that has supported us over the last 2.5 years, and for their donations, their kindness. Before you leave, we'll show you the wall in the break room
Okay.
with all the notes of support and thanks. And
Yeah.
it's been uplifting.
It does give you a boost when someone
It
sends you a
does.
note.
Yeah.
We get them too,
Yeah.
thanks for publishing my letter, or this letter, or
Right.
that letter,
Right.
or doing this story on something, and you're thinking, well, wow, somebody read it, and I think
Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
same way.
Well, you end up in the midst of a fight and a battle, which is not something we ever imagined would happen. And it's unfortunate that it did. And you're like, are we right to fight this like
Right.
this? And then you get people giving you that reassurance and telling you, yes, fight on,
Right.
fight on. And
Okay.
absolutely, I'm ready.
Yes, the staff has just been amazing, and the community, and
It's been hard. It's
been hard on the staff.
And,
Yeah, there's that uncertainty. No one likes that.
No.
No.
well, uncertainty,
no,
and
having
and
that
they
hang
have
over
to
your head.
they have to be at their service desks and greet the public and smile every day, but they know that the majority of those people are on their side and have their back, and that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful community, and we need to remember that as we move forward.
That's
This
what-
community
yeah.
is wonderful. We need to enhance it, not change it.
Yeah.
Right, right.
That's what keeps us going. The people walking in the door every day, the people writing letters and showing up at meetings, and they just warm your heart, and you know why you're doing what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah. Erin, you kind of felt, you've been here a while, but not as our librarian, but you moved up in the ranks, but you kind of got thrown into this in the middle.
I did.
And I've heard some, and behind the scenes, I've heard some really good comments about it. So about
thank you.
the service you're doing. So what's your last take on it? We'll give you the last word.
It's pretty much the same thing that Eileen said wholeheartedly. I mean, we are beyond lucky we have the team and the staff that we do. They do such an amazing job with the difficulty of with everything that's been going on in the last 2.5 years. And again, yes, seeing that support has just been very uplifting, and it's made, that's in itself has made an impact on staff, being able to hear the community come in and, thanking them for not just, sticking with it, but the amazing job that they're doing with, programming and the other services that they have going on. We're blessed to have the community that we do.
Yeah. It just kind of dawned on me, 2.5 years. This isn't something that just started, last month.
No.
No, this has been a battle. Well, I
Yeah.
don't want to really use that word, but
Well-
it's been a.
Well, it's not of our own making, so
Yeah.
it just has been thrust on us, and but we're getting there, and hopefully
Okay.
we can get a resolution. Let's get a
Yeah.
resolution.
So we're all willing here to sit down at the table, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, please.
For the community's
We ask
sake.
every chance we get. We ask, let's come to the table and talk.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we appreciate you taking the time, speaking to us, and talking to our community,
Yeah.
and letting them know that you're still here and
Yeah.
you plan to stay.
Well, we appreciate
Yeah.
everything you do.
yeah, thank you, Mike.
Thank you
Thanks
so much.
again.
Yeah.